In a time long ago, there was a kingdom called Gallowmere, a land where the people were happy, war was unknown, the children were polite and helpful at all times, and not just when mooching for chocolate. The monarch of the realm, King Peregrine, was wise and just and, all in all, a bit of a decent chap. Fond of philosophy, literature, and pictures of kittens in bonnets. He was an enlightened ruler. But he had among his retinue an official court magician, a brilliant but unscrupulous man by the name of Zarok. Instead of confining himself to the horoscopes and balloon animals for which he was employed, Zarok began to conduct horrific experiments on the bodies of the dead. Of course, people often get quite sensitive about their deceased loved ones, so it wasn't long before the king found out and had the sorcerer banished from the land. Zarok skulked away into the wilderness and busied himself by perfecting his experiments, seething with rage and practicing his diabolically evil laugh. At last, with an army of demons at his command, he set off to bring Gallowmere under his foul dominion. The captain of the Royal Guard, Sir Daniel Fortescue, led the militia into battle against this unholy horde. Songs are sung to this day of how he spearheaded the charge deep into the accursed multitude, how the invaders fell before him like wheat before the scythe, and how at last, though mortally wounded, he fell upon the infernal sorcerer and destroyed him utterly. True, these songs don't have particularly catchy choruses, but people cared less about chart success in those days. And so it was that Daniel Fortescue went down in history, the hero of Gallowmere. And there came upon the land a time of peace, harmony, and quality wines at affordable prices. The tranquility was to last for 100 years, but then the sorcerer returned.
Jesus. Let me check the sounds real quick. Okay, oh yeah, right, gotta explain. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, back here. Adult scenes Ellie like. Welcome to MediEvil Resurrection. And, in all honesty, yeah. Hold up, let me double check that sound thing real quick. I want to make sure. Okay, good. Subtitles are on. So, real quick. Yeah, I'm playing MediEvil Resurrection. Because if any of you know, or should know, that MediEvil itself is getting a remake. And it's a remake of the first game, not of anything else, really. So you may be wondering, why not play the first MediEvil on PlayStation 1? Well, I thought, considering that I already played, Ape Escape, the original, not the original, the remake on PSP, I thought, why not play the other remake or reimagining that they had on the PSP? And no, not the other, like, 10 or so other remakes that were on the PSP. I mean, literally, the MediEvil Resurrected remake, reimagining thing that they had for the PSP. I actually owned this game as a kid. Or at least when I owned a PSP. I remember a good amount of it, honestly. It's just that a lot of it somewhat, like, gets me slightly a bit forgetful in some regards. But other than that, I liked the game when I first played it. Even although it's one of the few games I had on PSP, so it's like, I liked anything that I had on PSP. Although the controls were the main issue, but for now, that's not the issue for this, at least. So, what do I plan for the series, really? Well, I'm just planning to lightly just play it and then finish it as best as I can. You know, like, play up until a certain point without getting a certain extra thing for this game, and that's it. This game is actually surprisingly short from what I from what I tested. It's like a few hours, not a full as long as the original game, because there's certain levels that were cut. So at least there's that. But we'll just you'll just see how I play it. Okay, good. That was one issue I had when testing, that the subtitles for some reason, even though they were on in the settings, wouldn't turn on right now, like during the cutscenes. I thought that was a weird design choice thing, but no, it turns out that was just like the game or whatever I'm using messing up there, or just a weird thing that just happened. I don't know. Well, yeah, sorry for like the lower frame rates. This is as best as I could get it. Like literally, I could get the game as. Yeah. But I guess I can talk right now because there's not gonna be any dialogue technically. I won't talk during when the game has dialogue, and I'm sorry if I'm talking over sound effects, but still, you know. Maybe I'll shut up during certain sound effects, like this part. Give it a second, you'll know what I'm talking about. I have to admit, that's kind of funny. Anyway, the difference between like this reimagining remake of the first game versus like the actual PSP one is that this game is more story focused. Well, not story focused, just more story showing slash more cartoonishly ridiculous more than anything. Basically, the original was kind of like a Tim Burton-esque macabre gothic sort of game, where it kind of didn't fully poke fun of itself a lot, but it still wasn't like, you know, it was tongue-in-cheek somewhat in its goofiness. But this one goes full goofy in like its particular setting, story, and dialogue. Some stuff is pretty funny in terms of some of the dialogue, but still, it's a matter of taste.
Dan's Crypt. The best place to go if you're looking for a dead Dan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the voice may sound familiar for some people, but I'll talk about that in a second.
Oi, you! Fortescue! At last! Come, get up! We got things to do! Hey! Easy, my friend. In my culture, we treat the guests with courtesy, especially if they stop by for 100 years. Who am I? My friend, you should feel honored. Usually the corpses, their skulls are filled with just the worms. Instead, you get I, Al-Zalam, glorious genie of the Sultan Prince Razim the Ribald.
I'm just gonna call you Sam. Salam? I'm just gonna call you Salam.
I see it in your eye.
Like salami.
Well, it is true. With genies, usually we are trapped within the lamps. That is bad. Very oily for the skin. But far worse, let me tell you, is when evil sorcerer tricks you, traps you inside skull of cowardly knight. Oh, the smell! It is mustier than a Saracen's jockstrap. You imply that I lie. In my culture, that would earn you 50 strokes of the cut. And we are allergic to cuts. So that is a terrible punishment.
Is it the
But
hair?
fine, if you're too busy with the being dead, we just sit back and watch Zarok destroy Galomir once more. Oh, you remember Zarok at least? Yes, that madman is back from the exile. He has mastered the dark magics, has been waking the dead, turning good men evil. He turns this land bad quicker than tub of yak's cheese next to warm radiator. Why are you back among the living? His magic? Or perhaps fate? Fate gives you chance to redeem yourself. Make amends for your cowardly death, eh? Yes, I was there that fateful day. I saw you hanging back, pretending to tie your bootlaces, and getting hit by first stray arrow. Never believe on publicity. You're just a big coward, buried as big hero with poor genie still trapped inside his head. Come on, I know you are tough guy deep down. We can work with that. I will be guide. Maybe this time we truly defeat him. His men killed you. His magic cursed me. Together, we squash that creepy cockroach. Free me! Turn you into a real hero, eh?
And
Well, well, well. He's back. Old Sir Daniel Fortescue, the hero of Gallowmere. Rendered eyeless and lifeless by the first arrow. Rendered heroic by the mists of time. It's amazing what good PR can do. Now the fickle finger of fate has given him a second chance. A chance to make good his ignoble past. A chance to defeat Zarok and live up to the legend. If I had any breath, I wouldn't be holding it. Anyway, many of my stony kind reside in Gallowmere. We may be woken with a gentle nudge, not with a kiss. Please, don't try the kissing thing. We don't have affectionate natures.
okay, so oh Jesus. Okay, hold on, let me check something. Does this look any better to you guys? Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna be playing through it anyway, so the issue is that it's not really like frame rates, it's more like my issue with the game's audio, so I might change that, honestly. Anyway, so yeah, real quick to explain. The game really just operates as, you know, the PSP really does, really. And it has a bad issue of like frame skipping slash doing that with its audio. But, you know, I've changed some settings and allowed it to, you know, look smoother when it's controlled at least. Hopefully that's the case. So, yeah. I'm going to be playing through this whole game, mainly. Although I'm not going to collect every weapon in the game, because there's one you can get through a particular method that I'll get to. I'll get to it and I'll explain why I'm not going to get it. But everything else I should be able to do. Although, this game is, yeah, shorter than the original because it cut out some levels, turned certain levels differently, and it's really all dependent on how you look at it. So, yeah, I'm just going to basically play through the game like normal, or at least to me normal, and finish it whenever I can. So let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, there's like an abundance of tutorial sort of things given for this. Wait, what's this about? Okay, inventory and gargoyles, right. Oh yeah. There's two types of gargoyles. These green ones will drop exposition slash just talk with their own dialogue that is slightly demeaning towards you. Red ones will be shopkeepers, where you can trade in your gold for weapons and, you know, ammunition. Well, or, you know, replenishing ammunition stuff. Because, well, you're gonna need to replenish, at least in this game. At least to me. Chalices, right. You see that chalice in the top right corner? It signifies that a level has a chalice. And if you do collect the chalice of heroes, I forget if it specifically has a different name, but if you collect the chalice and you're able to get it, and you're able to defeat enemies because there's enemies around, at least it signifies that. Once you get every single bit of like the chalice and gold for it, or as much, not gold, just defeat enemies in order to fill a chalice, you can obtain it and go to the Hall of Heroes, where they give you upgraded weapons or upgrades on those weapons here and there. So keep that in mind. For now, you're equipped with your arm, which can use as a boomerang for long range, so at least you're not completely without a weapon sometimes. It's not 100% the best thing ever, but at least it's something. One thing that's actually kind of interesting is how the game controls. Okay, for some reason the analog stick isn't as fine-tuned as you think it is, so I'll be relying mainly. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out how to keep it from doing that whole sound thing. So you might not hear it when I post the video, but still. So where was I? Something about, oh yeah, the chalice. No, I already talked about the chalice. It's about the controls. Real quick. For some reason, they decided to make the camera not being able to control. Now, you can actually center the camera with one of the trigger buttons. R allows you to point whatever direction you're pointing in. You can make the camera immediately lock onto, just snap towards whatever with R. Although R also is the lock-on button, which makes Dan, strafe or just overall just point to a target. And if you're with an enemy, it keeps the enemy in sight. So, I guess that's fine? I don't get it. L is to guard or use a shield when we get a shield. So, there's that positive, I guess? I don't know. Like, I'm semi-okay with this, but at the same time, couldn't you have used the analog stick to be the camera or something? Because you already have the directional buttons, but... or you could have used the directional buttons as the camera and the analog stick as just the controls. But, I guess this was a decent compromise. I played through this entire game again just to be sure. I was able to complete it, or at least complete it enough. And I remember most of it, so that was fine. So, it works for what it is. It's not perfect, but it's fine. So, let's actually grab this. Okay.
You got to study. I never had you down as a reader. You use a monocle, right?
Okay. I'll explain this room real quick, but first, that particular icon at the bottom of my screen over there with my health meter at the 100 thing, that's my health meter, and the bottle I just picked up is a health bottle, which is a health extender. So every time a bottle comes out, it basically fills up my life meter, so it counts as a full life meter. So anytime I have...
Shift your ass! I'm your camel!
Wait, what rating is this game? Is it T? Because that feels like as if that shouldn't have been said. Like, literally, they said the word ass here. That's like, really? You said that in this game. Okay, fine, I'll just put this up so that way you can shut up. Anyway, so yeah. Anytime I get any more bottles, they'll basically be health extenders to my health. So you can have a lot of bottles and have a lot of health, is what I'm trying to say. So that's cool. Although you could actually find a health bottle in the original place of the game, so it's like you were able to get one in Dan's Crypt the first game, so this is technically not too different, but still. Anyway, this room that I'm in that has this particular thing is basically the gallery room. It explains monsters, shows a map, shows the treasure you've gotten, or maybe it talks about all the weapons you get. It talks about the monsters you have, and you have Dan's journal, which has his character somewhat here, where it's written down. Let's see. Al-Salam. I'll read this first passage, but I won't be coming back to the... Well, I will be coming back to it in my personal time, but I won't be coming back to the Dan's Crib to read his journal every other time or so. Maybe I might, I don't know, maybe as a special video, but I won't be doing it fully. Okay, I'm just gonna read at least this first passage, because it's not too long. Okay, Dan's private journal. Strictly no peeking. I'm dead. The darndest thing happened. One moment I'm at the Battle of Gallowmere giving orders charged, then BAM! A blinding pain in the old peeper. And sink me if I didn't wake up on the least comfortable bed I ever lay on. Turns out I'm dead. Bit of a blowout to my plan to forge a career as a great hero, really. Met the most irritating fellow. Al-Salam is his name. Think he might be foreign. No. By the way, I'll explain to Al-Salam and slightly his problem, I don't know. Depends on how you feel about it. But I'll talk about his character in a bit. He claims to be a powerful genie, but he's shown scant sign of any magical powers to date. And he won't show it any other further outside of this game. Apparently for the last century, he's been using my ocular cavity as some sort of flophouse. I kind of want to make a reference to Matt McMuscle, but I'm going to refrain from that. Anyway, it turns out that the sorcerer Zarok is back, raising the dead and possessing the living, and whatnot. He's also blot out the sun, at least around this land, I think. He really is the most awful git. I love that. So I'm guessing he's British, I guess? I don't know. Looked around the old tomb, I have to say, whoever sorted the funeral out really did a first-class job. Wish I'd been there for the send-off. Update this journal regularly as when stuff happens. So yeah, as you're done with missions or levels or significant parts to the story, you'll have that happen. Where the game will specifically tell you, like, what Dan is thinking about all these situations. Now that's good character development, I guess, but it's more like, oh, come back, read that over and over again as soon as certain parts come out, or go to the Dan's crypt when certain parts are done. So, you know, there's that. But, I don't really care. Anyway, real quick, I changed the configuration of the controls in the beginning, as you saw, because they had the jump button mapped to one of the, you know, directional buttons instead of an attack, which I prefer. So I prefer this setup, where jump is the X button and the attacks are the circle button and the square button. So there's that at least.
Ah, a training room, eh? Nice decor. Fairly macabre.
So yeah, as you can see, if you press or hold the R button, you remain targeted on a enemy, so at least there's that. It helps out at least with one of them, though if you're in a horde and someone gets behind you, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, there is something actually interesting about the game, at least in its combat. It's a little bit deeper than the original game. At least somewhat. There's at least some combos with some swords and certain weapons. Like, if I press certain button combinations, I do different attacks. Mainly, the easiest way to do it is just pressing the fast... Okay, so square for now is labeled as the fast attack, which is just a quick strike of attacks. Circle is heavy attacks, or at least strong attacks, I think. They're supposed to be, like, you know, heavy hitting attacks, but they're slow. Square is just, you know, fast attacks. And if I combine some of them, he performs two moves. That is the upper slash move, and then he does a small 360 if I do a certain other button combination. Although, I will say, if you hold down the button, Dan will actually perform, you know, a forward moving slash. Holding down circle will immediately make him do a spin attack, which can hit multiple enemies around you. Which is a pretty good move for at least, you know, crowd control. So there's that. Oh yeah, and I forgot to actually mention, if you're actually in a particular situation where you're dealing with multiple enemies, I guess this helps. But also, if you're locked on an enemy and you press some of the attack buttons while, you know, moving about or jumping left and right, you do certain attacks like that. I'm not sure why, but it's a thing. And yeah, technically the attacks translate into this whole thing. For example, if you move back while you're doing the charging attack, the forward charging attack, you do a backslash. At least to enemies behind you, so be careful when you're moving about. And also to the side and some other stuff. Though, I guess the rolling jump to the side is pretty useful, so there's that. Oh yeah, I forgot about the charge attack, or the charge move. It's basically just Dan charging forward. I think this move is something you're supposed to get at a different point in the original game, but you get it right now, so at least there's that for getting.
Mind the lava, Dan. Cremation's not your style, I think.
Yeah, that's lava. For me, it looked like acid or something, but anyway. So yeah, that's another thing that they gave you off the bat instead of allowing you to get, I guess.
Rune key, Dan. Place it in the claw of the rune gate and open sesame.
I know. So at least there's that, I guess? I don't know. It's a little bit weird, but at least it makes sense. Or at least it works to some degree. So anyway. Let's see. Oh yeah, you can back jump to get away from enemies and stuff, so as long as you're locked on. You can't really perform any of these special moves outside of lock-on mode, so keep that in mind. What's this? Okay, right. Right, okay, I'm just double checking. Okay, and that's kind of the thing about the whole game. It's more tongue-in-cheek funny and has a good amount of laughs, but it's not as slightly serious slash gothic as the original. Well, you know, the original was inspired by Danny Elfman music and also, you know, The Nightmare Before Christmas, so it's not 100% serious either in the original. It has its funny moments, but this one's more haha funny and cartoony way. So, you know, if you want that, go play the original, I guess. Or the remake that's about to come out, like I said before. As far as I can tell, it's still keeping the original, as far as I can tell, like, the new remake that's coming out is focusing more on the original PS1 title, and not trying to be like the Resurrection one where it's more, oh, so tongue-in-cheek, goofy sort of thing. As far as I can tell, at least. So, there you go. I will say that that's kind of why I'm playing this game, because it's like, I'm giving my own 2 cents on this. Is I like this game. I think it's fun. But I can understand other people's issues with it, I guess. Anyway, what do you got to say?
You're set on finding Zarok.
Yeah.
The Master, as he likes us to call him, needs a sulphurous green ether as he passes through the land. Seek out this witty trail, and you may be sure you're on the right track.
Yeah. So for now, I'm just going to end the episode off for now, and I know that's really, like, kind of dumb to do this, but, you know, considering all the, you know, all the stopping points I had to do, I'm kind of, you know, a bit on a tight schedule here. So I'm just going to keep...
A beautiful map of Gallowmere. This will help us get around the realm.
Oh, I forgot to do that in the other episode. But yeah, for now, I'm just going to, you know, end it off here for this first episode, and then maybe talk about it in the next episode. Oh yeah, by the way, I do want to mention real quick, the reason why I point to, like, the narrator is because he's actually a former actor on Doctor Who of some kind, or maybe he was still on Doctor Who at the time. I forget directly who he was, but he comes back as a different character, and I'll point to it when I can. I forget his name directly, and I might leave it as a little annotation note at the bottom of the screen. So, you know, or, you know, a little, what do you call it? Asterisk mark? I don't know. So... hopefully it's there at this point. But anyway, I'll see y'all next time in the next video, actually, and I'll just keep playing MediEvil, and I'll meet you at the graveyard. The first video is going to be a little bit long, considering everything add up. But hopefully the rest of the episodes will be less long, hopefully. I'll see you until then. Sayonara, bots. Take care.